Hello friends, Techman Pat here. Today we are reviewing the ASUS Zenbook Pro Duo, and I have a pencil or a pen or whatever you might call it in my hand. It is very important to this review, but I'm going to be using it to do a bit of pointing because I like the pen, I really do. Now the laptop is running a game. It is overheating right here. So this thing is a bit of a heater. I've got the aircon on because it's got so hot today, and I want to talk about that in a minute. But let's start with the obvious. Let's start with the big things that you'll notice when you have opened up this laptop, or actually when you go into the store to check it out, or when you watch it on a video. Hey, if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe, and let's get into it, guys. So first of all, we've got a 4K screen right here. It is a touch screen, which is pretty good. And obviously, if it's a touch screen, the actual glass is a little bit hardier, and it is. I feel very comfortable touching the glass and even touching it with the pen, which is really good. This pen is, it's accurate. Let's just say that. When you draw, it has a bit of a lag. I mean, it's not an Apple Pencil. That thing has incredible accuracy, but this isn't too bad. Like, you'll get away with it, you'll use it. I even asked an artist that was at the event, at the ASUS 30th event, and she said it was actually quite comfortable to use. One thing she did say, the uncomfortable part, was she'd wish this screen was flat. So there's a suggestion, ASUS. Make this screen flat, maybe, or maybe flippable to the other side so you can use it like a piece of paper. In saying that, this bottom screen right here is also 4K resolution, in the sense that it's half of a 4K. So it's not real 4K, but this resolution across here is the same as the screen, but downwards it's only half. And it has a bit of a matte screen rather than the glossy top one, so it has less reflectability, which is good because it's always on a different angle than the screen. So if you have it open like this, this is on a much lower angle, so the actual matte finish here really helps with the reflection. So completely understand that decision, and I'm very happy about it. The pen traveling across this one is a little bit different, and it causes what I might say is a little bit of annoyance. The first annoyance, I suppose, is the fact that when you touch it here, as soon as you do that, it's not really a separate screen or computer. It's all in one, and then it thinks you're touching the whole screen in itself. So if I touch over here, as you can see, it reopens and goes back to the desktop. It's a bit annoying, and I suppose one of those things is, if you find that annoying, you're gonna find it annoying. I don't know why I keep saying annoying, but it is, because sometimes you want to use this screen separately to what you have running full screen on here, and that's the first dislike about the double screen, but we'll get to the positives in a second. Thirdly, it's that keyboard. Unfortunately, there's a few issues with this keyboard that are just, we can't really change much about it. If you are right-handed, the mouse pad is right here. It's a much taller mouse pad. It's not as wide, but it is fine to use. I actually really liked it. I used it quite a bit instead of a mouse, because right on the side where your hand is if you are right-handed, and you might guess where I'm going with this. If you're left-handed, unfortunately, there's no mouse pad there for you. So this is kind of a bit of a limiting factor, and I don't think there's any left-handed versions of this, because again, it's a $4,500 laptop. Now, if I look at some statistics, apparently left-handed people are more artistic, and if this is supposed to be a creator's device, pen, drawing, I don't know, you probably have it on the left. In any case, if you are left-handed, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you just get used to using the mouse on the right hand? Is that just the reality of most computer devices? Now, there are mice that are ambidextrous, so I suggest using a mouse if you are left-handed. This pencil obviously is ambidextrous, that's beside the point. With the keyboard and typing experience, they do give you this little bit of an armrest, so it's another thing you carry with the laptop. So you can slot that right under here and it makes it feel like a full keyboard. In fact, it's very comfortable. It's like this little pleather type thing on here. It's not magnetic, it just slots underneath, but it stays put and it fits perfectly under there in the edge, and the keyboard becomes really usable. I did type up a few scripts for my YouTube videos on this keyboard and I found it pretty good. It was a little bit odd having the keyboard a lot to the left, so it felt like I was missing a few keys because I was using them in a different position, but after a while I got used to it. The keyboard and the screen position, however, is a little bit problematic. I thought to myself when I first saw this will be really, really good for multitasking. So I actually had a couple of articles I was reading through here and maybe typing up my script up here. But the problem was that this was at such a high angle that unless I was right over the laptop and it wasn't really comfortable for my typing, I really didn't make use of this side here. What I did make use for it is actually when using Photoshop and Premiere. I had a few bits and extra pieces on here that I could see, I could drag and drop, and that was pretty seamless. Photoshop especially was really good to use on this. The colors sections I could put on here, the files, and maybe the history. Again, it was more informative. I could live without it. If this was removed, the second screen, and this was just a flat flip-up screen, I'd be okay with that. The good thing about this screen, however, was actually putting YouTube videos. So I would put a YouTube video here and maybe browse something through here like Reddit, and I wouldn't read anything here. That's the problem. Reading on here is problematic, but watching a video, maybe having the stop and start for music was really good here, Spotify and so on. That worked really, really well. But most of the time, it became more of a, if I need to check something back and I really need to check, I'd have it in this bottom screen. So what about using it as a little drawing pad because it is flat? Yes, works really, really well. That part, if you are doing something very detailed, you nicely zoom into something and use your and use your pen to nicely draw on that. So let's talk about the pen a little bit more. It has two buttons, and one of the buttons is it does something, and then you hold the other one and it does something else. What I found weird, and this is I suppose a design thing, I went into this thinking, oh, you've got two buttons, there's a battery inside, it's a non-rechargeable, and it has a touch pin. So does that mean that if I press it, something happens? No, unfortunately not. The only time that this does something else when you have a button is actually when you hold the button and touch. Then it does something. So when I was working with Photoshop, that meant I could select the eraser and I could erase a line, and the other button opened up a whole new menu, and you could customize these two buttons to do different things. But again, the way to open it up is hold and tap. I couldn't get it to just do stuff when you press it. Why can't I just be like, tap, open up a thing, select? That makes no sense to me, and especially when every single other pencil or pen does that. It has a direct connection and can do that. So in regards to accuracy with this, it's not bad. It kind of drags behind. Like imagine pushing water or drawing on water. It has this little flow behind you. It's not bad, but when you're trying to make quick movements, it's not as good as a pencil on paper. And definitely nowhere near Apple's version of the pencil, of their digital pen. It really isn't. So I've got a game up here, and the reason I have it up here is I really wanted to demonstrate or try and tell you about the heat output of this laptop. It's a very thick laptop, and ASUS is very good at creating plenty of fans and good extrusion of the heat. You'll get the heat out of there, definitely true, but it really does spit out heat to the point where if I keep my hand long enough over here, it actually hurts, and at some point I'll have to pull it away. Unfortunately, this gets a lot of heat, and I'm just running a little game in the background. I mean, it's not little, it's Monster Hunter. It is a game that requires a bit of power, and this has the power to run it. It even outputs more heat than the Strix laptops they have, the actual gaming laptop. So that's quite concerning, and part of it, I think, is because of the design. You've got some heat ventilation in here, there's some spots there, but you've got this massive screen that actually feels really warm right now, and that's concerning because, you know, screens, heat, I don't think they go together very well. The keyboard itself is also quite solid and is lower, and there's no hot bits here, but this bit here is very hot. The sides are coming out. The interesting thing about this laptop is when you open it up, as you can see here, it'll actually lift up off the ground, off the back panel there, and give you more space to have more airflow, which is good. It definitely needed to be designed that way, so I give props to ASUS for designing this. Alright, let's talk about specs. It has an Intel i9, an RTX 2060, a 60Hz 4K screen, a 60Hz half of a 4K screen on here, and that's it. Nothing special to make it a gaming laptop. What it can do is play some casual games, it can do a lot of cool stuff, and one of the things I have noted about it, it is very beautiful. This is an OLED screen, my friends. A laptop with OLED, and it is beautiful. The darks are pitch black, the lights are very light. It is a very bright screen, and I was so impressed with this screen for a game like Divinity 2 Original Sin. It's a role-playing RPG game, top-down, beautiful. Doesn't require high refresh rates. 60 frames was perfect. It ran really well, and the colors and quality at 4K was absolutely amazing. And even this game was really good too. I mean, look at those colors, and it's pretty smooth. It's running around 30, 40, 50, depending on where you are at. It is not that loud actually, even though it's outputting a lot of heat. But my friends, OLED screens are definitely the future for beauty. Maybe not necessarily for first-person shooters, but for games that are only casual in the sense of not having to be competitive, I think OLED screens are spot on and they look beautiful. So console gamers, when you plug in the OLED and it's got HDR, which this has, unfortunately Windows and Microsoft have a bit of a problem trying to support it, so it's a bit hit and miss. I didn't really see much value in it just yet, but because some applications can run in it and you can create content specified for it, you just need to make sure that you're always up to date with the latest Windows drivers. And the problem is, Windows doesn't release them very often, and you gotta be in the beta thing, and there's a whole lot of crap around it. So if you find yourself in a situation where HDR10 just doesn't work, go to the ASUS forums and see if people get the same issue, because that's what I had to do to get it up and running. Other than that, the thoughts I had about this laptop and the things I didn't like is particularly, I guess, weird, because the use case for this laptop that I see is somebody who creates on the go, and this is in direct competition with like a MacBook Pro. And don't get me wrong, this is much better than a MacBook Pro in what you can do with it. It is definitely innovative in the sense of what it has, the extra screen here. And somebody who has this for a long period of time will find use cases for it that I might not. What I see with this is that you can edit video with Premiere, which I did, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was quick. I mean, the i9 is just powering through it. The RTX 2060 definitely helps in managing these two screens. It needs to manage it, and game performance is fine. So you can take a break, play some games. The OLED screen is amazing for watching movies and TV shows and watching YouTube content, but the sound speakers aren't as good. They're really, really quiet. Like, I don't know. I think they're just, this is 100%. That's not really loud. So unfortunately, I had to turn it up max and then do a few back-end stuff to maximize it, give it an extra 10-20% to get the sound to at least hear it. I'd have the laptop on the side, I'd be playing a game, when there was a pause, I'd watch a bit of a video, and unfortunately it just wasn't loud. So I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's because they're placed in a weird way, but the sound just wasn't as loud. Now, it has a 3.5mm jack. It also has Bluetooth, so you can connect your headphones to it. So that's not really a problem if you're in a more public place. But if you're in a private place, this is okay when you're watching a TV show in bed. But the problem is the laptop is so heavy, you wouldn't. This is a stationary laptop that you're always going to have connected, even though the battery lasts a long time. Don't get me wrong, this lasts a long time. It does tune down a bit of the performance, but it lasts a long enough time for you to go, oh yeah, I can use this remotely. You probably won't be rendering videos remotely because the battery will burn through, but it's just too heavy to take into bed. This is a stationary laptop. You're just going to have this on the side and you're going to use it as your main laptop or actually your main computer. You can connect it up to a second screen, which I highly recommend because then your productivity should technically go through the roof. But what about when you're traveling? It is a very heavy laptop. It's very thick. It's also very smooth and maybe hard to handle if you need to actually maybe keep it around with you. Maybe if you drop it, it'll probably be completely destroyed if you do. But it's something hard to handle, especially when you got to carry this around with you. It is not a portable machine in the sense of taking it to a cafe and getting some work done. This is a portable machine that you can go from office to office and get things done. The brick is also very large. It is a much more powerful brick than the ASUS Strix one that we reviewed a little while back, even more powerful than that. So that's something to note. This has and can drain a lot of power, and that is potentially a bit of a downer if you want to go around doing work in places that require you to not be plugged into power. Now, I've talked about Windows Hello in the last video of the ASUS Zenbook laptop. Again, no doubts about it, it is the future. Windows Hello is absolutely fantastic, works a treat, super quick, gets me into the laptop. All laptops should have Windows Hello, and that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Every single Windows laptop should have Windows Hello, and if you're buying one without it, don't buy it, unless it's a gaming laptop. Then, anyway, they're trying to keep the cost down, but plug it in with more powerful hardware. In any case, who can I recommend this laptop for? Well, it's not for gaming, that's for sure, but it can, if you need to do in a jam. It'll play some really cool games, really fun games. This is for somebody who's looking for a very powerful stationary computer that is also a laptop that can be moved around the house. That's it. If you are a creator who uses a little bit of maybe some design stuff like InDesign or Photoshop or Premiere, and you would like to use the pen, you'll be able to do that, and you won't even need a mouse. Actually, one of the things with this pen is you don't technically need a mouse, because if you need precision, you can use this, and I did use it quite a lot. The touchscreens are great for your finger, but if you don't want to smudge it up, this is a great solution. If you press a little bit harder, it does a different movement. If you press softly, it does a different type of movement. So it works really great for painting in regards to Photoshop or maybe even InDesign or any other application. Further on, if you're a business type person, this is probably not for you because of the amount of power it has for creativity. The last laptop we reviewed from the Zenbook, which had the little screen inside the touchpad, would probably be more to your liking. It was nice 14-inch, very small, very powerful and very fast, and it was lightweight. This is not it. What I have to say about this laptop is that if I was creating videos like this all the time and I didn't have a main computer, this would be my go-to laptop to do so. If I wasn't a gamer, this would be my go-to laptop. This is probably the best Windows laptop you can get for a creator. However, the price for Australians is absolutely ridiculous. $4,500 puts it out of the range of a lot of people who might make casual use out of it. If you are a professional, this is just not quite right. However, and this comes back to the event they had where they announced it and released it, if you're a creator, if you are a creator to the point where you're actually making money off YouTube or you're actually making money from clients, this is actually a very appropriate solution for you. And I suppose now I kind of realize why everything was #Zen creators, #creators, ASUS, blah, 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 blah. Yes, this fits very well into this space where you're a freelancer, you're not a business, and you want to get a very good bang for the buck in the sense of what you get inside and what you can do with it and how powerful it is, but not necessarily as a casual user. This is definitely for somebody who's a paid professional, but not a business. Friends, thank you very much for watching. I hope this made a little bit more sense about this laptop, what it is, or if you were just interested to see what an expensive laptop looks like. I think it's really cool. I'd love to use it for longer, but I have to give it back. I don't get to keep this stuff, by the way, at all. So apart from those things, I think it's great. It's innovative from ASUS. I have to give them props for this. This is probably one of the most coolest and most interesting looking laptops, and the design of it is absolutely fantastic. The whole thing with 2 screens is very much future-proofed in regards to what you can do. People will find ways to use this in a much better fashion. It is early days. It is very early days in regards to the price, but I think you're onto something, ASUS. This is great. You're heading in the right direction. Right now, you're probably not going to sell too many of these. Maybe, I don't know. But man, it's exciting. Now, thank you very much, ASUS, for sending me this. Thank you very much to you guys for watching. Hope this has helped you guys. If you like this sort of content, like the video. If you want to see more, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think about a laptop like this. Is it actually overpriced? Am I just dreaming? Have I just seen enough of these laptops and I just always want it to be cheap? But to me, this is more like a $3,000 laptop. 3.5, 4,000 is just pushing it. And I suppose Australian dollar has a lot of issues with that. Really low against the American dollar at the moment. Friends, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you guys in another one. Bye. 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 Bye bye, Miss American Pie. Maybe Vader someday later. Now he's just a small fry. Oh, he kissed his money goodbye. Singing soon I'm gonna be a Jedi. Singing soon I'm gonna be a Jedi.